Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Not Another Rangers podcast. And myself, Scott, and joined by tonight with Gary. How you doing, Gary?
I'm all right. The good thing is, since yesterday I've been busy since 20 past 2 or something like that, so I've not had a chance to digest every bit of time. I've been able to block out my memory until I realise I'll come back on here.
Did you have a good weekend apart from yesterday? Saturday was good, Friday was good, probably Sunday.
I'll tell you a funny story. Where I was on Saturday night, I was at a bowling club, Kenny Rogers tribute. I didn't know that when I went there, but it turns out I don't know many Kenny Rogers songs other than The Gambler and Islands in the Stream. Funnily enough.
Were you up dancing? Line dancing, was it?
No, that, but I wasn't a few drinks and I was.
So going to yesterday's game, Gary, I mean, when you seen the lineup, we spoke about it previously, about the lineup, and Lawrence came straight back into the side, which you can see it because he's one of the manager's favourites, isn't he? You can tell the way he sets up. But the lineup, I don't really know what to say about the lineup because there's not a lot. They've not got a lot of options. We've only got one fit winger, to be honest with you. But what do you make of the lineup, first of all? In the first half yesterday, Gary, I mean, there's not really a lot to talk about the first half. You can think back to the first half, like the cross with Tav, which Dessers should have. He had. He's going for the ball and the man Barami can cut back to him. He didn't go for it either. But we didn't really create a lot, did we?
No, it looked very early on, and you were obviously there, but for me watching the TV, it looked very early on that Kilmarnock had figured them out, really. Just to keep a low block, keep a bank. Bayrami, Lawrence and Cherny don't have the pace. But to get back to take into there, Jeff Day was doing a lot of running, but running into cul-de-sacs most of the time. So there's very few instances that I saw, certainly the first half, that was good play. The actual proper one touch, move it about. There's as you say, there's 2 or 3, I think, times when Cherny and Tav probably done it, I think, and created a couple of crosses. But other than that, I can barely remember them stringing 2 or 3 passes at the one time to actually move up the park. So that was kind of concerning. I get Kilmarnock and whatever I think about McInnes and Kilmarnock and the rest of the team, they know how to set up, playing a style to frustrate. But as you say, when about 10 minutes, you realised something wasn't really working right. There was no real movement, there was no real pace, there was no real drive. And for a team that plays so many players up the park as we do and leave so many spaces at the back, we don't seem to have many players in the box to actually even look as though we're going to score, which is quite bizarre.
So I've got a couple of things voted in here, but we'll just take it as just conversation goes. We'll go straight to Dessers because he seems to be the man in many people's conversation today. So this guy's a box saying, yeah, he touched the ball 11 times in the first half and lost it 8 times, which is that's quite consistent work he's done there. But what I'll say about Dessers, Gary, is I'm a big critic of him. Right, I have been very critical. I don't think he's due enough to be our main striker. I know you can say, well, he scored goals, and he has. The stats probably, that's football is about stats these days, and the stats probably went up now. You can say, well, he got over 20 goals last season, fair play to him, but the way the manager wants to play, it doesn't suit his game. And you seen it yesterday. He's a big physical lad, but he doesn't like a tussle with defenders. As soon as you touch him, he hits the deck. He can't hold the ball up. He can't lay the ball off. So when you're playing a striker like that and you're a midfielder or a winger, with your confidence in him go up or down, do you know what I mean? It's like, I mean, the manager has his favourites, Gary, and he seems to be one of them, but he's not got other, I'm not going to say he's got other options, he's got 1 or 2, but Dessers is his go-to man. Yeah. But his performance in the first half yesterday was dreadful. And I'm not saying, like, just his overall play. I mean, the 2 Kilmarnock centre-backs have had their games in training. He didn't really put a lot of pressure on them.
Yeah. Do you know, this is a tough one. Yeah, he's a really tough one to understand. Do you know, he seems to be, we all know now the type of player he is. He's a player that goes through a spell where he'll score half a dozen goals in half a dozen games. Then he'll have half a dozen games, he looks abysmal. Then he'll go back and do the same thing again over and over again. It's rinse and repeat, isn't it? It's been that way since he joined. Yeah. And in some ways, I feel slightly sorry for him on the basis, as you say, he's left to lead the line week in, week out with no real support in terms of other options, with Danilo's injury and Agamana is trying to come in. So he's there to be shot at. But he doesn't shoot as much, but he is there to job in terms of what he does. So I've always got a little bit of sympathy for him because I think it's much easier if you're the ones that are constantly there on the park to be the ones that become the target for the criticism. But yesterday, you could tell early on his performance was one of those games he's probably had for the last couple of weeks. So I think since the game he scored, he scored 2 goals, looked really good. I don't know, a few weeks ago anyway, before the last international break, but since he's come back for there, he's looked out of sorts to say the least. And I think that, as you say, yesterday he never looked like being in a position to score, and then certainly first half. What I would say is that, like the talk about Tav cross and things like, he was the only one there. Where's the rest of the players? You've got other players that should also be breaking a neck to be in the box, and that worried me slightly that you're relying against 2 or 3 centre half for Kilmarnock for one player. So if the ball goes to him there, he's kind of done well. If he's in the wrong position, he's then heavily criticised. So I'm giving a little bit of leeway. He was really poor, not denying he's really poor. I thought it was terrible, but I think he wasn't the only one. And just because people don't like him, I don't necessarily think we're picking him as much, if that makes any sense.
It does, but I will say to you, Gary, his awareness sound about the box isn't great. He's not a penalty box striker for me. He's not like a striker who can hold the ball up and play off either. So what kind of striker is he? Because we know some of the goals he's scored since he's been here have been fantastic, but then sometimes he plays like, I wrote notes, but I'll just go on it. I mean, one of the bits, I think it was in the second half, he broke 3-on-1, or was it 3-on-2, I can't remember. But the ball came to him, and all he could do was play a ball through. I think with Barami, it was through. And he passed it to a Kilmarnock player. No, that's not anybody but him. Doesn't matter how many Rangers players are there. That's just basically technically very poor for a guy who, and I don't like mentioning wages because it's not their fault that he paid that, it's what the club offer him. But he's getting paid a hell of a lot of money to be our number 9. And for me, he's not good enough. He just is nowhere near good enough.
You're right. I've not got a dog. I see in the comments here somebody's asking whether you've got a dog. Bizarre.
It's my dog again, Snowden. He just lies here and he just snores. Sorry about that, folks.
So no, I think he's a very bizarre player. I think that's because I think of some of the assists he had last season, some of this season, and they've been really, really good quality passes. You know, I think the Matondo one, different things. So at times he does fantastic things, but then the other 50% of the time he can't control a bag of cement, as they say. And as you say, that one yesterday, but he's running down, he just passes it without any real. I mean, it wasn't even as if it was close to going to Rangers player.
No, it's just passed it straight to Kilmarnock.
It wasn't even close. So I think the issue was, and the issue probably has been in the last few games, is you can see he's not playing well. So ideally, he should be not taken out the firing line, but he shouldn't necessarily be starting, or if he is starting, he should be getting taken off much earlier. I think I've heard a few pods and a few different people talking about would it be better with somebody up beside him, where he's got a little bit of burden off him. I think at times Rangers try to play, kind of at home, certainly the games I go to, they try to play Lawrence very close to him. Whereas yesterday, that didn't seem. Lawrence was in his own half most of the time.
Lawrence was a lot deeper yesterday, but I don't know if that was an instruction to the manager. Yesterday, I didn't think Gary we had any plan. They passed the 2 centre backs, passed it about a bit to Pav, to Jeffrey, who every time he got up the park, he gave it away as well. Pav was okay. Cherny far to deceive, too predictable for me, far too predictable. He should be doing more, especially against players who are supposed to be as good as quality as him. But we've sold this guy a dead horse, man. This guy's came here for Italian football thinking, I'm going to play in Europe, I'm going to play the number 10 role, I'm going to play an attacking team. And he must be thinking, what the hell have I joined? When he first came in, he was full running, full of energy. Yesterday, he looks lost, Gary, and he's not a bad player. You can see he's not a bad player. But he must be saying to himself, what have I joined? Because there's nothing in that squad. I mean, every game we've played this season now, it's been moments of like, I know come on loves these stats and it pisses me off. But like we've only conceded this many goals, we've 4 clean sheets at home, all that nonsense. That's just somebody trying to defend a corner, which he's actually running out of stats to defend himself. But I mean, I don't see any formation. He loves this 4-2-3-1, doesn't he?
Yeah.
But we've not get and I've said this before on here, and I've said it to you as well. We've not get a players to play that. but he's adamant he wants a 10, and the 10 seems to be Tom Lawrence, who is a moments player. Don't get me wrong, some of the goals he scored have been great, but it's moments. It's not like a guy who's going to be full of energy, full of legs, get the ball, turn the corner away, pass it on, move on and get it again. That's not Lawrence's game anymore. So yesterday we were getting the ball, passing about the back and hitting Dessers with a long ball at times. And it was just bouncing off him and Kilmarnock were just happily willing to accept that. And then they were hitting us on the break with Kennedy or the other boy, another wing, can't remember his name. Armstrong. And Marley Watkins isn't the biggest striker, but it was getting, and Vassell, they were getting change out of two centre backs because wasn't anything else on the bottom. I just thought it was 1-0, but I thought Kilmarnock could win by more because I didn't think we were for anything whatsoever. And listen, I will say, and it's no disrespect to Kilmarnock, but that's still a pure Kilmarnock side.
Yeah, no, they weren't. I don't think Armstrong actually had a good game, to be honest, and he's probably been the main danger man in the last period. I suppose we talked. I'm sure it was last week. I can't remember. It was Kilmarnock's first year. We talked about style of play a little bit and talked about. I suppose what I struggle to understand when I watch Bayrami and Cherny. These are seasoned internationals playing at a decent level internationally as well. They're not playing for Liechtenstein, so they have a level of ability. As does Diamande for Ivory Coast, who's got a really strong squad. There's guys in there that are playing that are at a level that should be able to turn up against teams like Kilmarnock and who was it last week? There was a one to struggle before the international break, St Johnstone. So there's those games, and you're looking, these guys should be moments and difference makers. Now what I then start to wonder is it tactically that they're not able to perform? Is it the style of play? Is it the fact it's too enclosed spaces with Kilmarnock sitting so deep that but their skill isn't working? So you'd actually better to have somebody like across the city, if you somebody can run but not very skillful and successful because of that. Is it about finding the balance? I just struggle to work out. We've bought 11 players in the summer. Now you can't not say that's the players that they wanted to fill those positions. You can't say it's a squad. That's the players they bought. It might not be first choice in some cases, but they bought all those players. So if you're then struggling to put them in a tactical shape that works that you wanted, whose issue does that become? Is it the recruitment teams? Is it Clement's? Is it the players not good enough? Who's to blame for the fact that they're not able to perform against what they expect them to do? And I think that's the difficult. I struggle to understand where the fault lies. Probably a combination of them all.
To be honest with you, I think doesn't matter. You look at the players, man. The players have got to look at themselves, but also some of the players have got on good enough. That's a simple fact that they're not good enough. They're getting paid a lot of money to be at a club at Rangers, and they're not good enough.
So if you say that, but I suppose going back to that, Bayrami, look at Bayrami. Cherny's what 30 odd caps, played twice for the Czech Republic last week. Do you know, you've got to assume that he's got a level of, he's playing out for a team that's probably better than Scotland. John
technically, he's very good. Cherny, right on the ball at his feet, he's good, but he's very predictable. When teams have a low block because they know what he's going to do. He goes on the left side, he cuts in all the time on his left. They know all the time, he doesn't really go down the right a lot because he's predominantly left footed. So he's very easily worked out. Bayrami's been sold a dummy, like I said. He's played in a position, he's played with his country, but he's playing in a formation with his country where he's putting a better person about him and a manager they trust. I don't think he knows what the manager wants him to do. I think he looks actually lost. I think he's looking for instruction and he's not getting any.
Yeah. No, I think that's it. I suppose that's what I'm trying to say is I don't know, because I don't think those players aren't good players, a lot of them. If we talk at the players, say Suter mapped out Ronaldo, we think he's a decent defender. Proper's obviously had a good career. We've talked about Hefty, Barron, guys that have been better than we had before. Plus then you add in Bayrami and who's better supposedly than we had before. And that's what then makes me think, is it the tactical shape? Is it the style? Is it the ability to man manage? Is it the ability to get the most out of these players? Is it not recognising the difference between opponents? I suppose I'm not convinced the players are bad players. We brought in 11 players. Arguably, the potential, maybe not at the moment, they've got the potential to be better than the 16 players that we left. Although you could argue there's maybe a different debate about him getting rid of players like Campbell, etc. was maybe no benefit in the team. So it takes me back again. Is it the players that's not been put in the right shape, not been motivated properly, or is it that the players simply aren't good enough? And I'd probably fall inside that the players are better than the performances are.
That's quite funny actually. He actually stinks because he's been farting as well. I can't even tell my Wales where. He's just lying there snoring. So that's what bulldogs. That's what bulldogs do.
So,
but
just to finish on that, I think that's the issue, Joe. We scattergun comes out and we blame the players. I think we've been talking about Barron, Hefty, and Diamande, and Bayrami, and guys like that. Oh, they're really good players. And it's either they are really good players, they were poor, or the performance, the tactics are wrong, or other stuff's wrong with it, or they're not quite as good as we thought they were in the first place.
I know, but I mean, you were there. You remember Paul Green at Rangers.
Mm-hmm.
You were awful under Paul Green, totally awful, and he came with a big reputation.
Mm-hmm.
But he didn't get the Scottish game. He didn't get the Scottish players. He didn't get the mentality of play up here. It's totally different from France, Belgium, Germany, England. It's totally different the way we play football up here. You can turn it and say it's no great, but it's different. I mean, in Europe, even in Europe this season, at times you've seen it in Malmo. We've looked okay because probably we're set up better for Europe. Even on the job, we're probably set up better for Europe at times. But in the league, we struggle.
Mm-hmm.
In one away goal all season. And that's poor. Then we're fighting against Ross County for the worst record. And you're thinking, you have to look at it, pros, but in the day the manager takes the can, and this is a guy for a year, and he says he needs more. He's had 2 windows, fair enough. The 2 windows is a decent amount. I mean, if the manager's coming with less than that, but he's had 2 windows. He's had a bit of money to spend. Don't get me wrong, he's not had a lot, but he's a bit of money to spend. But surely a manager at his stature, being at Bruges, being at Monaco, even though he left Monaco, probably roughly the way he's going to leave us, you should be able to sort these players out and look at these guys and think, right, this is the full-backs I've got here, so this is their strengths. The centre-backs, this is their strengths, midfielders. And then say, right, I want to play this way, but I can't play this way because the players I've got will not play that way. So I need to fix a way where I can play a system at fixing these players until I get the players I want in. But he's not doing that, Gary. He's trying to play away. He wants to play and then saying, right, Barron, want you to sit, even though you're not a holding midfielder. Diamande, I know what you're good at, but you just go to middle and either got the park and then sometimes come back in defence. He's running everywhere and he looks like he's chasing a headless chicken. You've got Danami out in the wide and the left, but he's lost. You've got the 2 full-backs going up the park. Journey can't cover half at times, so Sutter's going across. Got big gaps between him and Proper. It's just a mess. And if I can see it, and every Rangers fan watching can see it, how can the manager not see it? Honestly, I mean, he's getting paid a lot of money, right? And I'm fed up talking about money because I know that's not the biggest issue, but we've given him a lot of money. We gave him an extended contract, which I said at the time I thought it was protect us, but I'm not sure it is. I think it was, let's try and cover the fact that the club's a shambles and give manager another year just to say we're all on the same page here. But the board's a shambles, the club's a shambles, but that doesn't excuse the way he perform in the park. We could have nobody in the board, but doesn't excuse the way he sets up the team on a Saturday or a Sunday, whatever, on the park. Because that's his job at the end of the day, getting a team on the park and winning football matches, and it's not really happening a lot.
Yeah. I'd agree with you, and you know, I suppose it's the same argument. I think that the challenge is looking at yesterday's game. Right, pick yesterday in isolation, pick that as a game. You go away to Rugby Park, now, as you say, me and you have got a fair idea as to what you would do, how Kilmarnock will play against you. You know what they're going to do against you. They're going to sit deep, hold the ball, play long diagonals, or try and use their presence, physicality, get Vassell to hold the ball up, do the stuff like that. So if you're come on, and that's the issue. If you're come on, surely you look at different ways of playing, combating that style. Now you can argue, yes, you've got better players, so you should be able to go and do what you want to do and impose yourself in the game. But there is times you adapt and you change, and look at you see by half time, particularly. Let's say we'll start with the same formation to start because that's a formation that makes sense. I can handle that. But it comes a point at half time, you're sitting at the game, you're at the game, Scott. You can see, what? Why not bring on, I don't know, Cass and Weird, and go 3-5-2. Do something different. Make them think about something different way of playing. Bring on Agamani. There's no go 2 up front to help Dessers. Do something when you, as opposed to when you do make the subs, all you do is you make the same subs like for like. At no point during that game did the style of play change, did the approach change. And it's was it that saying if you keep doing the same things, you'll get the same outcomes. Is that the Einstein one or something like that? You know, doomed to madness. So I think that's the worry. Is Clermont is, and I suppose that's what I keep saying is I'm not sure that the players are bad or whether just the style's not working.
But you've seen it last season at Dens Park, right? After the game, the Motherwell, we get beat Motherwell and we went to Dens Park after that game on, game off scenario. We went there, we dropped points, we were awful. And after the game, Sterling came out and said something, can't remember what exactly what he said. But then the next day, man, got a question on it, and then he thought Sterling was wrong. He's a young lad, he's has to think about Sterling's, by all accounts, a top player in the dressing room, as in one of the leaders was supposed to be. So I've heard. So, and then you've got yesterday, Bargain saying it's not good enough. Things have to improve in a certain way. But Butland said that after Leon, which was more telling. Maybe we're not doing things maybe we're not playing where they should play. Do you know what I mean? So if the players are saying this, is that not a telling sign that the players are not buying into his ideas, or the players are thinking, I'm fed up listening to that clown because nothing's making sense? Do you know what I mean? Because sometimes if you tell something to often enough, they end up being quiet because of that. You've seen the way he treated some players, Gary. I mean, it's like Campbell, right? Don't know what's happened to Todd. And I like Todd Ripper. Todd gave you a lot. He gave you a dig. He was silly on social media and he was silly at times in the park. But he chased the things to try to beat players, to try to create stuff, which nobody's doing at the moment, by the way. Then he took off Vaskin very early on, took off McCausland very early on. But there's other players on the side, like Tavernier, who's been poor at times. Dessers has been awful at times. Them Andy yesterday and Lawrence yesterday were both anonymous. Yet he took off Barron. I'm not saying Barron was better, but Barron was trying to get involved at times and he was trying to win tackles. So it's like, to me, he's got his favourites as well. But I think some of the players are starting, especially senior players who've been about, are starting to see through them and see if that happens. There's only one way this is going to go. Because if a player start to see through them, you know yourself, Gary, if you watch a dressing room, the time's up. You're not going to get it back. But I think he just lost the edition. I think he's lost a lot of the fan base because it's getting to a stage where me and you, everybody on the chat here, everybody watching, are going to games not expecting to win well, not expecting to play well, but actually hoping at times because we realised how bad we are. And that shouldn't be like that because even in the 80s and even like, only time I've ever seen it like this was under Pedro. Even in the 80s under John Gregg at times and Jock Wallace came back second time. We weren't great, but we were still competing. The guys were still giving their all. They just maybe weren't good enough at that point. But there's nothing there for me. There's no cohesion in the park. Mentality is very poor. There's nobody wanting to roll their sleeves up. And I know football's changed, right, Gary? But even just give somebody a fucking kick. There's nobody wanting to do stuff like anymore. It's like, I mean, we're getting beaten. Kilmarnock scored yesterday. You knew for a fact we were only going to get an equaliser because we've only scored one goal away all season.
Yeah. So if you look, I suppose I would try to think about this today. I mean, much as I said I was trying to avoid it, since we're working things like that, you're thinking about obviously why it happens, and you've got players like Andy. I mean, he's one. So what we don't do, we don't dominate in midfield, and that's certainly away from home compact. We don't see we dominate in midfield. In fact, either teams against us are missing out in midfield, so it's irrelevant them doing that role, but they're not creating very much. So again, there's a tactical issue there. I don't think anybody would say Diamandi's not a good player. Then you start to think, last year, when you look at last season, we had about 16 games, 19 games unbeaten whenever he started.
Yeah.
Now, arguably, the team wasn't any better then than it is now. So as you go back to your point, why is the team not able to perform now? Is that because they run out of ideas? Is it because players down tools them come spring, March time? Is it because we're relying on Tav last year or whatever to score goal after goal? Tav and Dessers, I think, between them scored 45, 50 goals in that 4-month period. So because they're no longer doing that, work out, and I suppose you're trying to work out what could be the cause. What is the cause? Is it to do with people buying into it? Is it to do with quality players? Is it fundamentally tactics, or is it just because other teams have worked him out as well?
I think you're probably finding it's a bit of everything, but I just feel when the manager comes in, listen, if you sack Clermont tomorrow and get a new manager, I don't think we should. I don't mean we shouldn't sack Clermont. I think the way to go is if you're going to sack somebody, I get rid of Clermont. I don't think we should go for the manager. I think it has to be in the summer or in the season finished, because I think getting somebody now, they've not got any money. And so I don't know how much it would cost to pay him more, or to just take a garden leave and pay him his wages until he finds someone else. I don't know what it does. But something has to change, and I don't think under Clement things will get better, Gary. I think he's been here a year, and I don't think things are going to go back up a way. I think it's only going to start to get worse and worse and worse. Because in his press conferences, he's talking more garbage than usual.
Yeah.
I mean, yesterday he chucked Butland and Casa Wardrobe under the bus. Now, listen, I'm not a keeper, right? So Butland might have been out of position, right? But to me, if I'm a centre back, and you mentioned sort of earlier getting praised for Ronaldo, but Ronaldo, remember, is a 39, 40, so it's not Ronaldo from maybe 10 years ago, but he got a lot of hype for playing against Ronaldo. But yesterday, he's playing against Marley Watkins.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And Marley Watkins, sort of his favourite, header it away, kick it away, but he lets it bounce. And then next minute, he gets a wee nudge and he's taken away for the ball. As soon as that misses it, and you said deflection goes off him and back past Butland into goal. Why did the manager not question Sutter? Why did they question Butland and Casalorjo or Casemiro for getting the ball?
Aye.
Why does it sing out certain players but no others? That's my point. They always say that he doesn't want to name players in conferences, but then he done it there. So that's what I mean. He says some things and he forgets and says other things. It's like, I don't know. It's like he forgets what he says at times.
Yeah. No, I think it was. I mean, when he first came in, there was a lot of presence. People liked the fact he was quite big and he was authoritative and he spoke quite strongly. And if we're being honest, as fans, we all bought into that, didn't we? It was all this is big full we trust and I think this thing that was totally different than Michael Beale, his car salesman stick. So it was a totally different approach and people bought into it. And it has as times went by, either it's that repetition of having them there all the time. You're starting to see them now just contradict themselves, same things that don't really make a lot of sense, same things that you're questioning the logic behind it. Now, purely in that game, I suppose what struck me yesterday in that goal, how many times have we lost that goal since that? Go back to that Ross County game, the same goal, the ball punted over the top, effectively. Not even, we've done it against Aberdeen twice, I think, last season. Same goal, the guys hoofed the ball up in the air and it's went through and somebody's ran onto it, I think. So it's a goal we lose repeatedly. Now, that's a structural issue, surely. That's not even about the players in some ways. That's about being left one-on-one in the 87th minute, a hoof up the park is wrong in the first place. So I don't, I get there's a mistake there, and I'm not absolving Suter of blame, but why are you left man-on-man with a striker and with 5 minutes to go? There's no need for that. Where's the structure around the team? So I think, and the fact that it's happened so often makes me again question tactics. I think everything, to me, when I come back to it, it's the shape of play, it's the style of play, it's the form, it's the way that we're approaching things. And that's a worry when it comes to Clement. So if we lose against Aberdeen, lose the League Cup semi-final against Motherwell, whatever it may be, you don't get time. I know you say Scott should be there at the end of the season, but if come Christmas you were third place, 12 points behind out the League Cup, you ain't going to be there, really, are you?
Well, I won't say they should be there at the end of the season because I don't think we'll sack him, because I don't think the board can afford to sack him. And I'd want to trust that board to pick a new manager at this moment in time. So I think he will get to the end of the season, and I think the season will be poor. I think we're not going to get much better in this, Gary. Unless he's willing to make changes, but he's been asked a few different times, is he willing to change the system? And he said he'll consider it, but he's never changed it, has he? I think they're not one away game when you play Seamer at wing back.
But there was no other option. That was all. It wasn't a true choice.
Aye, but now he's only got one winger, and he's still trying to play.
So seeing that, Scott, I suppose that's to go back to a question, right? So we've signed 11 players. You kind of think his style seems to be predicated on fast wingers, get the ball direct, get it forward quickly. But we've bought this a team that doesn't seem to match what the tactics are. And unless I'm missing that doesn't seem to be tactics. They don't seem to link at most games I watch.
No, because if you try to play a system that doesn't suit the players we've got, yourself, Gary, over the last few years, they like the slow build up, but we had, in the final third, we had a few players that can make a difference over the years. It's maybe a wee bit more quality. we don't have it anymore, so he's going to have to change it. I mean, I'm not a fan of 3-5-2, right? Because I think you need to be really good to play it. But I think 3-5-2 suits us more now with the players we've got in the formation he's playing.
Yeah.
But you're playing 3-5-2 and then you're leaving Germany to, which at the moment in time doesn't bother me, because I think he's too predictable. I think he's technically good and he maybe plays well for his country, but for Rangers at the moment, I think he's been poor.
No. And then finally, I mean, some of the best moments we had yesterday, and there were not many of them, there were very, very few, was actually Tav going beyond down the right side to get a couple of crosses in, which was probably, in terms of that the only time we done any interlink. And I suppose that's part of the problem as well. The way the style, you've got Tierney cuts in, 9 times out of 10, when I watched it, Tav was beside him because he's playing just outside the box.
Yeah.
And then you've got Diamande beside him, Lawrence beside him, and a big line of people right 25 yards out. Then there's the box and nothing actually happening. It didn't seem to have any real interchange movement, one touch, trying to get that kind of style. And it's just all get to the edge of the box and then hope something comes off and somebody will do something special.
That's there. He's looking for moments. It's not any part of my. I mean, even when you get it to a line, there's no bodies in the box, and Dessers hides behind defenders, so he doesn't have to go and get. He actually hides. Yesterday he was hiding behind Finlay at one point. I was like, he didn't fancy it. And if I can see that, defenders going against him can see it. But he's going to get played a break because he's not going to play a man. And someone said to me yesterday, you can't play a boy to start because if he plays a couple of bad games, the fans get on his back and it'll ruin the kid. I didn't agree with that. Why not play him to start? Because the guy we've got playing now is total bullshit. He's not playing well, Dessers, and he can probably turn around and say it himself, but he's not playing well at all. So why not give a start up front? Why not play a 3-5-2 and play a man at the top? Play as I love Joe at the back with Suter and Balogun or Suter and Prop or whatever. And then play Barron and Diamande with Barami. And you get Tav and Jeffrey. Why not play that? More solid, more in the middle. And you get a guy, Barami, who's got the legs to maybe interchange with man. And you're not playing a long ball as much because a long ball's powerful. I remember that way back from month. It works if you get to play it, but we've not got something like John Fashion or Alfredo Morelos that can hold the ball up in one flick on. No. It's getting to a stage, Gary, where it's boring to watch. You're thinking about, will I go to football or no, but you usually go because it's something you've always done.
No.
And the only way the club will change the manager is if folks stop going, because they only know about money. Folks stop buying tickets, folks stop going. They don't like that because they want punters for the top, but punters will eventually get fed up. And yesterday was asked if because if the fans booed it, they came to clap the players. What were they expecting?
Aye. That's part of the. It's going to happen every time, Joe. And I get the players clapping because that's part of the thing as well. It's no. You move on for it. People don't necessarily need to dramatise that to some extent. I think you've got, and I think that's the challenge. I'm just seeing the comment. Diamande, is £4.5 million Ivory Coast international. It was supposed to be able to make us 4 times the value, and you're struggling to see him get involved in games. And is that the manager's fault? Is that their players' fault? Is it the style of games? Every single one of these comes back to doing, but we're not. He's got an attacking style of play, but doesn't do a lot of shooting.
But has he? But
well, I mean, when I say attacking style play, what I mean
he keeps saying that. You go back to Monaco. Monaco fans will sit and saying roughly the same as you're saying now. The football was dreadful. He fell out with a few players there, and I know the Journal done a pod on it. Journal right up here. They've done a pod on it, and if you listen to the guy, it's very similar to what we're going through at the moment. Now, I'm not going to say it's going to go that way, but managers don't change their way. A leopard don't change the sports. I think someone said in the chat, they're arrogant. So it's his way or nothing.
If you're a player, Scott, it just crossed my mind when you're talking there. So at the start of the season, when he was going on about players, he's like, the only person I want that's irreplaceable is Butland, I think. Right? MDLs can go if we get the right money. Now, I don't know if if I'm a professional player and a team and I'm basically being told that the only one that actually matters is Butland, the rest you can go. Do you think that starts to deteriorate a relationship?
To be honest with you, I think the tension in the dressing room probably started before that. I think it started maybe last season when he called Cantwell. I think, listen, I know Todd had issues in the manager and he'd probably like to move on in the end, but I think because of the way he'd done it to a certain player in the dressing room, I think some of the players in the dressing room maybe didn't like that, because mostly all players stick together, but you know yourself, if you see somebody getting mistreated in your workplace or whatever, you don't like it, even though it's not happening to you. You might think, nah, I don't like that. But other players will think, well, he's a manager, he can do things like that. So I just think, like guys at Buck said earlier as well in the chat, man managing isn't great. I don't think he's a good man manager. I don't. And
Although was it not said when he joined that was his big strength?
he did, aye. So I don't, but that's just what I'm seeing, Gary. Listen, I wasn't a big fan of Michael Beale or the faulty car salesman, but is this football we're playing out any worse than football we put under him? I did say before you
any more exciting than that?
Gilles was too turgid because he wanted to play too much. But out of the three of them, I would take Gio back at this point in time. But I don't know why any of the three of them back. But I would take Gio back because he kind of had an idea what he wanted to do. Yeah, granted it wasn't great, but at least he had an idea.
No.
I don't see any ideas here. I don't see nothing. And like I said, I like to talk about two windows. He could talk about lack of funds, but any manager worth of salt should be able to get a team of guys at least to go into a park and show something. But we're not showing anything. And the players can look at themselves and think, I need to do more. But you don't know what's going behind the scenes.
100%. And I said it Friday before last week, some point, that we've got more international players probably that have been away in international duty than we've had in the last couple of years, arguably.
Yeah.
So again, I'm not buying the whole argument about the players are worse than they were last season when we were getting results. I do think we've sold players that probably were technically better, and I think Cantwell's a big example. He didn't fit the style of rigidity or whatever you want to call it that Kilmarnock wants to play. So he was gone.
To me, Cantwell's better than Tierney.
I think Cantwell's an excellent player now. For whatever reason, he didn't. You could argue it could be attitude. You could argue whatever it was, style of player, whatever it was. It didn't work. But I think
it was just personal issue between the two of them. I don't think it had to do with football. I think it's just personal issues. But there's Alexander saying Aberdeen played a 4-2-3-1 Saturday, put down, got a result, which is fair enough to Aberdeen. But they only got that. But talk about managers. There's that guy coming to Aberdeen, talent or a talent, I call him. Not had many windows, not got a big budget. Same players they had, most of the same players they had last season, which weren't performing at all. But this boy's come in and changed it up a bit.
Yeah, and the players are believed. As many games as one played last season and won 16 unbeaten or 16 unbeaten. So I suppose maybe time will tell.
No, but I'm just saying, somebody with an idea, a philosophy of getting the players and playing to their strengths, no playing to your strengths. Because that's what I think Kilmarnock's doing in the damage. He's not playing to the players we've got. You've touched on the international players. And I don't think a lot of them are bad players. There's some of them that are going to be there. They've not got a striker, right? And I don't think they've got any decent wingers. Granted, we don't. But I think some of the core are decent players. And a few of them are really good players. But unless the manager's playing to their strengths, we're never going to see the best of them. If you try to ask players like Dessers, for example, who I don't think he's good enough, but to do a role which he can't do, why do you persist asking somebody to do something you know they can't do?
So, irrespective of board issues, irrespective of players themselves, if what we actually think really genuinely is tactically isn't setting them up properly every single game effectively, there is no future for him, really, isn't it? I mean, the honest truth is that in the longer term, you have no future if you're not setting them up properly, because you will continue to fail, you will continue not to win games, and that's I suppose the worrying thing is listening to fans over the last day or so. In fact, not that it's been since the start of the season, but probably it's really went up a notch the last day or so. There is this: what is the style of play? What are we trying to achieve? And that's just getting louder and louder. And I actually think if it's getting to the point that it's turning, people are of the view that it's maybe less the players and more the manager that's actually not getting the best out of the players. And That's if there's any start to wonder if there's any going back for that when that happens.
I mean, we've got game on Thursday night. I mean, say we win that. I think we should. I think that's the most winnable game we've got in our group. Malmo, I was surprised we got a good result over there. But I think Thursday we should be winning. But I don't. But on the other side of me thinking, can this team win? I think we should win, but then I look at the team we've got and I think, can they win? And then you get St Mirren, who have just lost 1-0 at Doncaster, we're thinking, we should beat them at Ibrox.
Yeah.
But then you second guess yourself because you think, what Rangers will turn up? And then next Wednesday at Pittodrie, you're thinking, they're going to get done in. And that's, no mean saying Aberdeen are fantastic, they're better than they were. But it's me saying Rangers are absolutely wrong. Do you know what I mean? Because that's the faith I've got in our players at the moment.
Yeah. I'm less worried about the game again Thursday night, to be honest. European games, I mean, funnily enough, what has he got? 5 unbeaten away from home in Europe, and generally speaking, these European games, and even the Lyon game, the first that game was in it, could have changed different ways. So I'm less worried about that game. The league games against St Mirren and Aberdeen, I'd be more concerned about. That's
Sorry, Gary, I just have to say I actually agree with that statement for Nicholas. I think Lundstrom even did set Kilmarnock back. I think Kilmarnock was adamant he wanted him to stay. He wanted him to be kind of anchored, didn't he, at one point?
I think so. We're not in the workings of the team. So Lundstrom, Jack, Goldson, guys like that actually, I mean, people, whether fans like Goldson or not, he was a big part of the club. And losing these players, you wonder what it does to a dressing room in terms of spirit, culture, environment, the stuff that any team needs to have. And you've talked a few times about whether there's actually something fundamentally wrong in terms of the relationship between Clement and the players, and part of that could be a lot of guys that meant a lot to a lot of other colleagues that are away now, whether fans like them as players or not, or whether they're always injured or whatever it is. But I start to think there's a cultural issue, if I'm being honest, and it's more to do with the environment in the background that we're not performing as well as opposed to anything else. And that's my worry, because that's no fixable necessarily.
But as a manager, I know obviously Cotton was there as well. You know yourself, you get targets of players, and you maybe get a certain striker you want, a certain fullback you want, but you know yourself, you might not get your first choices. So you've always got a list of maybe 2, 3, 4 down, because if you're going to get your first, you go for your second and vice versa. So you must have known that, because Nicholas says you never got who you wanted. So you must have known you might not get who you want. Do you know what I mean? But Lundstrom is obviously wanting a lot more money to stay with the club. We're trying to cut the wage bill. So in a way, Gary, have we been hoodwinked as well because we're cutting budgets in the team? Like Singanaga, man, right? The boy looks great potential, but was it really necessary at this moment in time, considering we're struggling for a number 9? Because we get out there and got somebody. Throw a name out there, because I've always liked him, and I said we should have seen him when he became available on loan, was Nisbet.
Mm-hmm.
He knows the league. I mean, we need somebody that knows this league. Because Igaman's, let's say, he's learning still. Danilo, I don't know when he'll be back. You know, believe he's got a clue. And Dessers is a hit and miss. So why do you not go and sign that boy for 1 million, or even get him for 900 grand? You're signing somebody with potential for 1.2, 1.7, whatever the fee was. Should that not be kind of looked into first? Sign these players and then build over time. So you're trying to go for players that might not be project players, like Nassau, project players who might not play for a cup time, they get to play, you could be sacked. Do you know what I mean? Or the next manager comes in, doesn't want them.
Yeah. So I suppose it takes you back to, do you believe that bringing the younger, allegedly higher potential players and having a transitional season is going to bear you fruit in the future years, and we're going to then use that, develop Igaman and Jeff Day and all these Barron and become up a notch in what we had previously, and then that's going to lead us to success? If you believe that argument, yes, it's the right thing to do. If you believe that that's not going to be the case, and Clement's not going to be able to get them to develop and grow and become better than Jack, Lundstrom, Goldson, all these other ones that were Barisic, whoever it was, and become top quality players that we can sell on and do it and reinvest, etc., then it's a failed experiment. So you either buy loads of experienced players like Shankland and Nisbet or whoever it may be, and you flood your team and hope for the short-term success, or you buy the high potential ones and hope they work. The questioning takes us back to the same argument again. Do we think Kilmarnock is able to get them to work? And I suppose that's what I keep coming back to, Ed. I get the whole transitional season thing, and I get the whole buy potential players. And I think we think most of these guys are Cortez, Hefty, Diamande, Barron. I think who else there is. Igaman. There's 5 or 6 that in Ciala or guys we thought could become better than we had before. But I don't think one's going to get success out of them or develop them properly. It's going to fail anyway, isn't it?
I think sometimes I better buy younger players. I could be wrong, but some of you thought that my dog's snoring like that. A bear, is that a dog? It's
honestly a dog. It's honestly a dog.
Yeah, there's actually 2 dogs. There's only one that's snoring, but I just think sometimes I better buy these players when you're in a better position, club-wise. I don't think we're in a position where we can buy a lot of younger players and mature them, because we've struggled to do that in the past, and it's very difficult because the club's going through a transitional, which we are at the moment, and we all knew this season was going to be like that. But if he finishes third, Gary, he doesn't get next season. If he gets beat here for now at Aberdeen next Wednesday, he doesn't get Christmas for me. But you look at the board, they've got guys there like John Gallagher, and I don't even know who else is there to be honest with you, because they've all kind of jumped ship. He's not going. John Gallagher is not going to sack him and appoint a manager. I'll tell you that now. Right. So did they have to wait until a CEO gets appointed, and by that time the season is actually done? Because you don't know, behind the board there's Shambles, on the pitch there's Shambles, but behind the board Shambles isn't an excuse for me, for the manager and for the players, because that's totally different. A football club doesn't come into the training ground or a football park when they play.
So see playing devil's advocate then. So if we start the season and say, do you know what, we've lost lots of players, we've experienced players, we've brought the wage down 30-40%, whatever it may be, and it'll be a transitional season. There'll be ups and downs. Some days it'll be good, some days it'll be bad. We might lose the games here and there, which is where we're at now. I suppose arguably is that. But when we're alternatives, a lot of people did say at the start of the season, this is what we've got to expect. This now 9-8 games in, we're now saying sack him, and I'm not defending in any way. I'm just saying the counter argument is if you want to build a team, you might need to go through some pain to get there. And as fans prepared to go through pain to get there?
I think they've got to go through some pain, Gary, but this is torture. Mm-hmm. Right. This is like watching Saw on repeat. Do you know what I mean? It's torture, but yeah, but no, because listen, I didn't expect one league at the start of the season, but I didn't expect to come Aberdeen game 9 points off a second. I think that's sackable to me. Doesn't matter what transition I've gone through. With the players we've got in the building, the money we've spent, it's still better than anybody else in the league bar Celtic. Right. So we shouldn't be fighting to finish second. We should be second, and Celtic can win the league. I think they will win the league. I can't tap myself, but we shouldn't be fighting Aberdeen for second, no matter how well Aberdeen have progressed under a new manager. We should still be good enough to be ahead of them, but we're not. And this comes back to the players, but most importantly, comes back to the manager. How long is his contract? Is it 3 months, 4 months?
No, 2.
3 years, 4 years. How long is it?
27, is it? I think.
So I don't think they've got enough money to sack him. I honestly don't, and I don't think they will, because I think that extra year, you hear different things. I thought him about it just to himself, but I've heard by folks saying Kilmarnock is saying this wasn't what he signed up for, he wasn't getting this and that, and I don't know if that's true. So they both had to say, well, here's this and here's that, I want you to stay. But it's went tits up very, very quickly. So if they sack him, it's egg in their faces, but it's also more money out of their pocket. Like I said, if fans stop going, if fans stop buying tickets to games, the board will react, because don't want to lose money that way either.
I think it's a difficult. I mean, as you say, there's a lack of presence in the board, and it's an interim position. Isn't he likely to sack a permanent employee until they get? It sounds illogical, doesn't it? You would think you'd wait until they get the chief executive. I agree with you. I don't think they will sack him. I think that they will stay for the next couple. I actually think it's probably more likely he might mutually consent to go. If things go, if what we hear that he was sold a dud, in some cases he might suggest that the time it goes well. However, I think where we're at now, that I suppose the key point is, do we have confidence that he can turn it around? and to have confidence that he's the right man for the job. He's got the pedigree. He's been successful, but
he's also been sacked.
It's not looking like it when we're watching what we're seeing.
I mean, I don't know. I just think it's going to be an interesting few games, isn't it? I mean, every game, the fans are going to not be happy, and even when we win, they might not be happy. But just because of the way things are going, I mean, there's been a lot of guys, like Man FA, for example, they've not really seen us win much.
Yeah.
Whereas me and you went through this years where we won everything in sight, but they've not seen. And FA's not seen us win anything, really, apart from the odd cup. They've seen one league title, to be fair, but it's not like us. We were always winning. We were always. And is it a case where, just before we finish, is it a case where, is it now becoming more fans are happy? Not all the fans, but some fans, younger generation are happy to accept mediocrity, as in, or is it guys like us, or guys like even Nicholas or Curry, or whatever, and some of the boys in the chat, Alexander, Paul, they want the good days back, but it's been a long, long time since they've had that.
It all goes down to, again, I suppose, how do we get the good days back? And is it, because it is a 2 horse race often in Scotland, you know, and well, pretty much it has been for 40 years, and it still will be. And as you say, we should be able to beat the other 10 teams quite comfortably in most cases, and we're not. So I think in some ways the younger generation are actually less tolerant than we are in a lot of cases. So they want success. We've had success and enjoyed a lot of that success, so we're becoming more tolerant of the times it's not. But what I do think is probably a heat that gets turned up now much quicker in terms of social media, in terms of podcasting and other stuff. The tide turns very quickly for somebody. So come on, when you start to go on this precipice of when you're under pressure, you're then living game to game, aren't you? You're starting to go game to game, and if you start to go game to game, lose one, you're then really under the cosh. So I think the challenge is that you need a sustained run of results over the next weeks. In fact, at least until the next international break, wouldn't it? And we probably don't have confidence at this moment in time that that's going to happen.
I've always said, Gary, 2 defeats is a crisis.
Aye, and that's what
I thought about Rangers, and whereas nowadays it's like it's getting to a stage where they can't get 2 victories. You know what I mean? It's so. I mean, how it's just flipped, isn't it?
Do you think if we go back in time, Gerrard would have got 3 years if we lived in his environment now as it does?
But I think he would have, because I think under Gerrard he's seen improvement in the team, the way we played. I think he's seen that every season, just slowly at times, but I think he's seen it. I think he's seen a guy who was wanting to win, who was wanting to succeed, who was wanting to change things at times. I don't see that for Clement. Well, I'm not saying Gerrard was the best manager. I only won 1 trophy at the time he was here. But I think he's seen what he tried to put in place and what he tried to do, and he's seen progress with the team. He's seen, being at Rangers, I think the board told him another dummy, we not give him money to rebuild after he won the league, and then he obviously went where he went. But with Clement, I don't see that. I think Clement's, it's more about Clement, I feel, than it is about Rangers.
Yeah.
Maybe that's just my feeling of the manager. I could be totally wrong, I don't know him personally, but I just feel it's always about, he's always making excuses about stuff instead of just coming out and saying, listen, we were pish. Next time I'll make sure the boys are up for the challenge and stuff like that, instead of just coming out and try to sugarcoat things, because that annoys me. I think that annoys the fans as well.
And I think that's my point. I suppose I was thinking about. Do I believe that he's got the management skills to make players better, make the team better, and get his results and see progress to get to the point? I think probably so far this season it's not really shown that, and that's the worry. And as you get to a point whereby you're actually thinking, I don't really believe in what he's doing. I don't believe in the tactics. I don't believe in the style of play. I don't believe the players are improving. You will always be looking for confirmation in each game that that's the case, and you start to get to a point whereby it becomes too far gone to actually change. That's we're at the early stages of that now. Unless he's a real consistent run of wins, gets us to League Cup final, potentially wins that, and gets to a point whereby I think you're going to be going game by game, which is disappointing in some ways because that's not what we want. we all want to see Rangers do well and win games, isn't it? So
Yeah, as.
it's not pleasing.
I still hope he can. I hope he can turn it around because there's nothing better than what to see Rangers winning. But personally, I don't think he will, but I really, really hope he does because I'm fed up being on here negative. I'm fed up going to games, not enjoying it, and I'm fed up going to games moaning because that's all I've seen been doing the last while. Because there's nothing there to make. There's nothing there.
Passion. You're supposed to enjoy it. You're supposed to enjoy it. It's a hobby and a passion you're supposed to enjoy. I don't want to go and sit there feel miserable or watch games scrolling through my phone watching TikToks because the games aren't boring. You know, and that's the point in it. You know, it's meant to be fun. It's meant to be enjoyable, and at the moment it's not. And hopefully, hopefully something turns dramatically that we don't actually necessarily believe at this moment.
No, I know, and I will finish up there, Gary. But I thank everybody for watching tonight. I know it wasn't the usual laughing joke. I think there's only 2 of us on the night. We were kind of hoping for yesterday, like everybody was watching us was. So thank you very much again for watching. We're back on Friday night at 8:30. Hopefully Ricky will be joining us because he's back home and should be 3 years on. But thank you to everybody for watching. Hopefully coming Friday we'll win a European game and we can talk some positivity into some game at weekend. So thanks for joining me tonight, Gary.
Not at all, thank you. It was cathartic. I didn't realise you were so annoyed.
I was annoyed, actually. I was annoyed all day at work, so that kind of helped. And thanks everybody for watching. Good night.